Hey Zwifters, I'm Simon Schofield and this is the Zwiftcast. Coming up on this episode. Peak Zwift users smash through the 24,000 barrier. But is the platform's growth about to hit the wall of trainers' shortages? Kids on Zwift, not only are they free, they're everywhere as parents working from home seek solutions. And a significant corporate reorganisation at Zwift. What will this mean for Zwifters? Well, the big news after my bombshell of only being level 40, for which I caught a certain amount of flack around here, is that I have limped and ground my way to level 41. Are you pleased for me, Shane Miller? G'day, mate.
Yeah, level 41. I think I still had hair back then when I was level 41. That was quite some time ago. I wonder what the number one charting song was back then. Must have been something by the Spice Girls of Ace of Base. But level 41. That's good going there, Simon. But tell me, did it take the double XP from Tour of Watopia to get just that next level up?
It's helped, let's put it that way. It's helped. But, I'm back in the Cool Kids Club, I hope, if I was ever in there in the first place. Yo, dude, Nathan Guerra. I got some Zwift Rockstar sunglasses, whatever those are, as I smashed my way to level 41. I mean, could life get any more exciting? I assume you're wearing yours right now.
They're on at my avatar. No sunglasses here. It's dark out. I think 2:09 a.m. That's our start time here. So no sunglasses on right now. But what was the drops again, Simon? If we're are we flexing here a little bit? Because I mean,
well, no, actually, after our last conversation, I went a bit crazy. I went shopping because I was going to do that jungle stage 5 times in the dust. I'm still coughing after that, by the way. Five laps in the dust. So I thought, right, I need a special bag. Obviously, I hadn't prepared myself in any way by reading the Zwift Insider post that said you'd get put on mountain bikes automatically. So I splashed out on a gravel bike thinking, that's going to help me in the dust. So that was a whole lot of wasted money. Anyway, Peak Zwift in a moment. I know it's well rehearsed, but as the three of us have been around since the days when 100 Zwifters on the platform was a crowd, we can't really ignore seeing 20-some thousand in the game. Quite a size. And if you think I'm losing the opportunity to dwell on Shane's epic fail in our new Peak Zwift guessing game, you got another thing coming. But first, brace yourselves, a Zwiftcast campaign. Right, in our current changed circumstances, I think Zwift ought to drop the unemployment badge and rechristen it the working from home badge. Just a reminder, to get this badge, you have to do at least 5K for 14 days in a row, which I think an awful lot of people are going to be in a position to do. Shane, you with me on this one?
Yep, I'm in. That's a very good idea.
Well, give me more. Tell me better what a brilliant idea this is.
Oh, I think a lot of people are working from home now, but there's also a lot of people who are unemployed or will be unemployed soon. So it's kind of a bit awkward to win something for not having. It gets a bit awkward. I do like the idea. I really do. I don't think I have that one. I have to check. I've got to go back and check that. So I've got to log in, don't I, and check my badges within the game itself and have a look at. I don't know how I haven't got that.
Yeah. I'm not even sure if I have got that. In fact, as I was writing this script, I thought, where are my badges? They'll be somewhere. Nathan, same criteria, just a different name. As Shane said there, I think it's a bit kind of orcs calling it unemployed. Not quite the right note in these troubled times, is it?
No, that's a great point actually, and don't want to put throw salt in the wound. So definitely, as people like start feeling really good about themselves, they're like, yeah, well, I'm riding, I'm getting really. You can almost like get addicted to Zwift a little bit, which is not the worst thing in the world if you're getting fit and we're all isolated. And the next thing you know, it pops up. You are the unemployment. Good job. Like, across the bottom of the screen. Hey, thanks a lot for the reminder why I'm sitting here in my pain cave right now.
Yeah. No, it works always around this. And in fact, I have actually passed this idea on to HQ. So let's see if it works its way up the priority list. Okay, here we go. Peak Zwift. Last episode, this happened.
Simon, you're asking me to revise perfection. Okay, if I must. 16,667. I'm going to roll with the conservative N+1 theory with this. Just N+1 from last time.
Well, I can see the tactics there, but I think you're going to be wrong, actually. Nathan, same from you, just a number for now.
This is the tough one. Like you said, unprecedented. 22,000.
Oh.
Okay, well, I am uncharacteristically going to be Mr. Optimistic, or optimistic in certain ways. Anyway, I'm going to go with 27,000. I think this is enormous.
I'm on the floor. I'm on the floor. I've passed
this
out.
is like something we've never seen before, and I just think it's just going to be so big. And we'll talk about maybe why. Well, Shane, look, I know your guess was a fraction on the light-hearted side, fella, but these numbers, I mean, there's no official confirmation from Zwift for good reason, but I think the three of us were exchanging screenshots just a few hours ago as we watched it climb to 24,300 and a few pennies. I mean, they are huge numbers.
Yeah, wow, just wow. And I think it was Matt Rowe from that other podcast who said if you lined up all these riders, all the Zwifters who are online in real life with their trainers end to end, there would be 50 kilometers of real people on trainers. Just think about that for a lead-out train. But in real life, 50 kilometers, that's how many people were. It's phenomenal. In all honesty, I thought my 16,666 was, ballpark good. And it was close for a while until this thing came along. Is there an upside to this virus? Because if that is it, I'm really glad to see this kind of uptake and people turning to this platform. I'm glad the platform is there for people to use, and they are. So blows me away. Absolutely blows me away.
Well, 24,000, I mean, even for us who've kind of watched it grow and been a part of it and, been there on Jarvis when you were rubbing shoulders with weird blue people. This is just fantastic to see. And it's 24,300 people not on the sofa. Nathan, one thing about this, the community absolutely loves it. I mean, the higher the numbers, the more Zwifters seem to revel in it, really. But what about when Richmond's on rotation, mate?
Yeah, I was thinking about that. Like, it's going to get really crowded pretty quick here. Like, we're starting to get to, there is a reality that MMOs will start to split up things onto, you join this server, join that server, and will we get to that place? We're starting to hit regular gaming numbers. Like, I mean, like there's like bigger game numbers, right? Like, I mean, the biggest that you see, you can go and look at the live numbers actually for a lot of Steam games or other games that are out there. And, I think 1 million was what PUBG hit for concurrent a couple of, when they were the big game out there. But that's the biggest game in the world. So if you want to start thinking about like where Zwift is lining up, we're starting to get into that, lower to mid tier. Wow. Like this is some serious online activity here and it's super impressive. And, but yeah, starting to split things up maybe a little bit if this trend continues and the uptake has some sort of longevity to it that isn't just around the current situation in the world, I think that we might see the need, to split things up a little bit more. We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah. Okay, well, the guessing game wouldn't be complete without a number from our friend Eric Schlange at Zwift Insider. Hey, Eric.
Hello, Simon. How are you?
Well, I'm good. Busy as you are, no doubt. Okay, let's get straight down to figures, my friend. You know roughly what Nathan, Shane and I did. Last time you were super methodical, so let's have your number and any workings out, please.
Okay, my number is going to be 26,500. And the reason I picked that is we're already up basically exactly 5K from January's high. We hit around 21.5 yesterday. And my back of the napkin guess is that half of the new Zwifters who are coming on are on. And the other half are waiting on trainers, waiting on stuff to get set up. So yeah, it's a big guess. Who knows what it's going to be, but that's what I went with. So adding another 5K to where we hit yesterday, basically.
Yeah, good number. I see the logic there. That still leaves me way out ahead with my super optimistic 27,000, which may be reined back by lack of trainer availability. But we're going to discuss that a little more with Shane and Nathan. So for the time being, thank you for that, Eric. Okay, well, there's Eric's number. Obviously, this is... I did realise, actually, and we had a bit of chat about this, I did realise that, I've not published any rules for this game that I'm going now to win. But,
Wait, whoa.
Well, they can only be one winner.
Goalpost? I think goalposts are changing right now. What's the rules we're playing by?
Well, the rules are I'm going to win, Nathan.
I thought in our chats it was closest to the pin. Price is right. How are we doing this here?
I haven't given it an awful lot of thought, really. I've been too, busy already reveling in my victory, which I know is coming. I've got
the trophy engraved. You can't scrub that off. I'm taking that and running. You're not going to catch me.
Okay, listen. Well, Zwift's capacity is pretty much unlimited. Eric Min said they've had tested up to 50,000 concurrent users. So their capacity is pretty much unlimited. And that actually, all credit to them, is due to a lot of under the hood work a couple of years back. Capacity really should not be an issue. We did see the tiniest brief outage a few days ago on the login server. But wow, that was fixed quickly, like within minutes. Kudos to Zwift there. So growth in numbers really could be exponential. But wait one moment. There might be a limiting factor. As we hinted last episode, the trainer shortage is coming. Tax tweeted that due to the enormous demand, their online shop is closed to new orders. Elite is affected by the business shutdown in Italy. We'll hear more about that in a moment from the horse's mouth. Wahoo surely took a hit when China shut down. I mean, Shane, there are going to be trainers in the supply chain, but if times were normal, stocks would kind of probably be heading lower anyway as Northern Hemisphere spring approaches. Obviously, times are not normal. Any insight, fella?
Look, this current situation we're in the world wasn't in any of the forecasts, which are done months in advance. Here in Australia, we're ramping up for the winter season, so we're not too bad, but we're still a little early. There's a little bit of stock, but not a lot. By the amount of messages I have for people asking me for trainers, there's not a lot of stock left out there. In the Northern Hemisphere, this is going to hurt because typically they're in the downturn right now, and with the numbers we're seeing, this is the winter that we didn't have in the Northern Hemisphere for Zwifters online. We're seeing, what's that? It was 16,500. Now we're seeing 24,500. That's a lot of demands. Now the question was, are these Zwifters who have always been around? They're just jumping on with trainers? No. A lot of these are new Zwifters, and we know that because as I pointed out on Zwift Riders the other day, that spawn point for brand new Zwifters is packed. There are probably 20 or 30 at any one time in that one little area where people are onboarded in the default Zwift kit, the default Zwift bike. These are new Zwifters coming on board. So there's going to be a new trainer or people hooking things up for the first time. It's going to hurt. I'm watching this very closely. We shall see.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I got a hold of Peter Largo, or is it Lego? I'll ask him in a minute. The sales guy at Elite. Peter, like me, is in lockdown as Elite is based in northern Italy, right in the middle of the virus crisis zone in that country. Well, here's Peter from Elite. Hi, Peter.
Hello, Simon. How are you?
Probably much the same as you, I would imagine. Listen, your factory, your premises, your whole kind of production setup is in the area, one of the areas most affected by the virus in Italy, and we all know how badly the virus has affected Italy. So, first question: is everybody safe?
Yes, Simon. Thanks for the question. Yes, we are. We're all safe here in Veneto, northeastern of Italy. Where we have our headquarters. We've been employed smart working for most of us for 3/4 of the work staff. So everyone's working from home since 3 weeks. The other part of the company is production and QC. They are working from the HQ because of course there's no other choice. But all has been taken to maintain the highest level of safety and health. So we're sanitizing all the rooms, all the buildings on a daily basis. Everyone's wearing masks. Everyone's wearing gloves. The people in the office have been divided one per room. So there's not more than one person per room. So we're taking clearly all the actions because our priority has been for the past month or so, health and safety of the co-workers, and then operate in somewhat, let's say, normal conditions.
the human side comes first, but we're all in the, you guys at least, are in the trainer business, and we're all in the virtual business now. So let's just talk a little bit about stock levels and supplies. How does it look from your bit of the forest?
Demand of trainers for this time of the year. It started more so 3 weeks ago, where we sold more trainers in a week than what we do in a semester. So demand has been unprecedented. That said, we kind of saw, unfortunately, the black cloud coming. Honestly speaking, we when we saw that, we kind of understood what we were going towards. Unfortunately, to be honest, we actually pumped up production of trainers. The situation is actually far above and beyond what we ever could have imagined. But the fact that we did increase our production, the fact that since the past 4 years, we've never stopped production of home trainers, simply because it takes more time to make these more technical units, and it takes even more time to QC each unit one by one.
If you want to buy an elite trainer, Peter, are you saying that despite these very, very difficult conditions, there shouldn't really be any problem with stock levels? I mean, are you managing to ship as well?
As we speak, we're shipping. We had 12 lorries sitting out from our parking lot this morning. Many more have came in. One's now driving in here because I'm connected with the webcam with the warehouse, and we're shipping until tonight because there's a total lockdown here in Italy starting tomorrow, which will end April 3rd. But if I look at what we've shipped in the past 3 weeks, like I said, that's what we would have shipped probably in 5-6 months. So the pipeline, the distribution pipeline has been adequately fed. Clearly, if this continues and if the U.S. goes anywhere near, I hope so, I pray so it doesn't, but if the U.S. ever goes anywhere near what's happening in Europe, then it's going to be clearly impossible to satisfy everybody's request for any brand.
Yeah. So basically, you've got nice, big, full, fat pipelines, but as in a very few short hours, like every other single business in Italy, I think you're going to have to shut down.
Yes, we'll have to shut down from midnight tonight, and we can reopen April 4th.
Right.
So that's going to disrupt production and, like I said, and shipping. But again, I think the measures we've taken, first, ensure health and safety of our coworkers, but equally able to produce and control and ship out. The team has done an unbelievable job these past 2-3 weeks. They're working hard now, loading up a truck. Let's see, one for the UK, one for Slovakia, one's a container for Japan. There's another container for the US. So we're distributing the trainers a bit globally. And when it's midnight tonight, we'll take a deep breath. And the team actually has the time to even rest after these 3 hard weeks.
Well, that's a fantastic update, Peter. I mean, people will really, really be pleased to hear that, and such a clear explanation of what you've done, and hopefully what the position for the consumer will be if they want one of your trainers.
If I can say this one more thing, Simon, just 2 seconds. Not much production, but I just want to make and ensure, because we're getting hundreds and hundreds of emails from consumers. Customer service will work 24/7 during this disruptive period. We're getting 800% more requests than normal in this period. The whole team now that's going to not be shipping will be doing customer service answering. So that's going to be guaranteed. R&D will not be interrupted. Everyone's taken home their CADs, their computers. So no delay or no disruption for R&D development. The only situation of disruption will be for the next 9 days, production and shipping.
Yeah, well, that, again, even better information. Very, very grateful to receive it. Thank you very much for your time, Peter. And saying this to everybody now, but to you guys in Italy particularly, stay safe.
Stay safe, all of you. Stay safe, stay healthy, and right on.
Thanks, fella. Thank you. Shane, I did a little test, actually. I went onto the Zwift website where you can buy a trainer, of course, and kind of went through the whole process, and they were saying they'd got stock.
Oh, okay. If they've got stock, I hope they can ship them straight away then, because people will want these pretty damn soon.
Well, that will, again, be a continuing story as this awful, awful crisis develops. So you will know where to find news on any incipient trainer shortage, and that's right here on the Zwiftcast. Okay, fellas, let's just deal with this one very quickly. Are either of you called Dick?
Part of me is, I think.
Yeah, I don't.
No secret middle names I should know about.
No, I'm just kind of want to leave that one alone. I feel like there's like a "that's what she said" joke coming somewhere. I don't know.
Okay, well, look, maybe not everybody gets this joke, so maybe I ought to explain it, which will make it not a very good joke. But anyway, if you are called Dick, it may be best that you don't post stuff on Zwift Riders that invites lots and lots of people to say Dick by name, Dick. I'll leave feared listeners to finish the rest of the sentence in their heads on that one. Poor old Dick. I almost felt sorry for him in the end. But Dick, just in case anyone is missing this, Dick was one of those many people who asked the question, shouldn't Zwift be free in the virus times? Dick, unfortunately for Dick, was met with a fair amount of ribald banter, I think we could say. He was also met with a pretty virtually unanimous no, it should not be free. Really interesting, this, Nathan. The community, I mean, it was really, really speaking with one voice, and in some sense, a kind of surprising voice, because people like free stuff.
Yeah, but I mean, at the same time, like there's a lot of great points actually made in the threads, and I just think that people have to keep, you have to keep the lights on. You need to keep growing your business. And I think that that's not the job of private businesses. It seems like people just need to have, they don't have business degrees or they don't do basic economics. Like that's not how private businesses really work. Yes, deals and things like that. But if everybody just starts giving away free stuff, it hurts the economy even more. And so right now we need economy to flourish, and what can go around should keep going around. That is not the way we need to go, is more free. We need to go less free in the private sphere and let those who are supposed to protect citizens, help citizens, and support citizens do their job. And that's a whole nother conversation, obviously, about your politics and how governments work, but that's not private business's job. And don't go looking for handouts in that space. That's not cool. I'm not asking you for a handout. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So,
yeah, I completely agree. I mean, for the record, I see not one reason on God's green earth why we should go free. I mean, another platform has, but I think that is for very dubious reasons. Personally, more about a rather shabby, opportunistic land grab, if you ask me. Shane, where do you stand on this one?
There's no such thing as a free lunch, or for cyclists, I guess, a free coffee. Someone always pays, and someone's usually already paid by the time it gets into your hand. Look, there's no such thing as free Zwift either. I can guarantee anybody asking for free Zwift will be the first to post complaints if Zwift have to hire just one server guy rather than three, and just have one server rather than three. They'll be thumping the table if things go down and they can't get their free Zwift. I think we're in very uncertain times worldwide, and if you're in a position to pay for what you use, then pay. If you're not, freeze your subscription. We'll all be here when you come back.
Yeah, quite right. I mean, here in Girona, the bike businesses are suffering, and all of us are trying to do something to help them. And that point you made is quite right. In these uncertain times, you ought to be supporting the things that you love, and we're all trying to buy vouchers and stuff to help the bike shops who at the moment have got nothing to sell. Really, really hard for them. Okay, let's move on. I think even Dick has moved on now.
Right on!
Now, at least some of the new peak Zwift has been driven by a huge influx of kids onto the platform as increasing numbers of people seek shelter in the home. Bored kids is never good. Bored twitchy kids is even worse. Bored twitchy kids with two parents trying to work from home, that's really, really, really not good. And Zwift can be the solution. 15-year-old Cormac Nesbitt got on Zwift very early. Here's Cormac. How long have you been on Zwift?
I've been on Zwift since I was 10, I believe.
Wow.
Yeah, my dad was one of the first ones on when it was in the beta stage.
Cormac, what is it you like about it so much?
It's completely encompasses cycling, really. You can be social, competitive. Until recently, I've basically used it more as a training resource. Probably all sort of three of them together makes it such a great software.
Right now, we're seeing like thousands of young people flood onto Zwift. You're a bit of a pioneer. Were any of your mates on it before?
No, not particularly, to be honest with you. A few have come on recently, but with all the coronavirus happening at the moment, it's a lot easier on Zwift and probably will attract a lot of new users, I would have thought. A lot of my friends that I've talked to recently, they're going to start Zwift racing and things like that. So,
I mean, you're obviously a super keen cyclist.
yeah.
And you race on Zwift and in real life?
Yeah, I mean, when I was young and sort of 2017, around then, I was racing for Welling and I did a lot of the track leagues, which I really enjoyed, actually. I enjoyed sort of being able to race multiple times in one day and just constantly improving on that.
What do you weigh?
45 kg.
Wow, well, that's right to the bottom end of the Zwift range, isn't it?
When I first joined, I was 34 kg, so obviously I was carrying the 11 kg weight penalty.
And what's your best time up the Alp?
To be honest with you, the only time I go up the Alp is like when I'm training, if I'm doing a workout. So normally I'm in erg mode, but I think it's around 57 minutes at the moment. But I think I can go faster than that.
I think you probably can go faster than that. Okay, well, listen, we're sharing headphones with your dad. Would you just hand the headphones over to your dad?
Yeah, sure, absolutely.
Hello, fellow veteran. Tim, isn't it?
Good afternoon, Simon.
You must have been very early.
I was very fortunate. A guy in the local bike shop almost stumbled across Zwift really, really early in that little funny little island.
Jarvis.
Yeah, exactly. And it was revolutionary to me. I sort of I won't say got hooked, but it was certainly a very much more attractive way of training rather than sitting there with nothing to look at, bar a brick wall.
Absolutely right. How soon did Cormac express an interest, or did you kind of try to introduce him to it?
He will always do what he wants to do, and I just encourage him if he wants to do it, and if he doesn't, then that's up to him. He can give it a miss. But there's something really gratifying about seeing your 10-year-old, 11-year-old, 12-year-old, whatever age, cycling alongside you, whether that's on the open road or whether that's on Zwift. And we've had some unbelievable fun trying to hold on to his wheel and him trying to hold on to my wheel in the early days. Obviously, in the current situation, that really doesn't happen that often. But I think what's most depressing is when you get, I'm doing a full-on effort and Mackie's on his warm down and he comes past me. But there we go.
I'm afraid that comes to us all, Tim.
Absolutely, Simon. You're dead right.
It must be a really gratifying kind of dad and lad activity.
I think that's the whole point of any sport, to be honest. But I think the great thing about cycling is, whether it's outdoors in real life or virtually, that you can... dad and lad, mum and dad and lad, and all the other people can ride together.
Yeah. Now, I said dad and lad, and I should have corrected myself there, because there's plenty of mothers and daughters who do it as well. And as a veteran and presumably a reasonably close observer of the Zwift scene, and I know this is happening already, but we are going to see a huge upsurge, I think, in kids riding.
Oh, without a shadow of a doubt. And I've been in contact with Eric for a long period of time, and we chat backwards and forwards on Messenger occasionally, and I can't express my gratitude to him enough for the support that he's giving to children. You know, under 16s go free. That's huge contribution to kids cycling from Zwift, and it deserves a tremendous amount of credit for doing exactly that. And we for one have benefited for that for the last 4 years, and it's makes a huge difference.
Absolutely right. An absolute pleasure to talk to you. I'm just going to ask you to pass the headphones back to Cormac, please, for one last quick word with him. Cormac, when did you first beat your dad?
When did I first beat my dad? Probably
in real life or in
real life or on Zwift?
On Zwift.
Probably when we first went up the mountain route. Long before the times of out to Zwift, but yeah, I think that was probably the first time.
Okay, and what age were you then?
4.
Please say 12.
He's begging me to say 12. I would have thought late, probably around 11.
Yeah, okay. And last question, my friend. Do you ever let him win now?
No, never. Never.
What, by beating you?
No, do I ever let you win? It's definitely no.
And I would also add, I never let him win either, but I don't have a choice in that matter.
Excellent. An absolute pleasure to talk to the both of you. I hope you continue enjoying your Zwifting together for many years to come. Thanks very much indeed.
Thank you very, very much for having us, Simon.
And I would love to hear, by the way, from any mum and daughter setups. Let me know either on Zwiftcast listeners or hit me up on Twitter, or I'm all over social media, not difficult to find. The Kids Go Free is such a good initiative from Zwift, but man, it must be a bit of a headache for them now because of the kind of administration involved. And our friend Zwift Insider, Eric Schlange, has a bit of insight on this. This process, of course, that has to be gone through at HQ. I mean, there's all kinds of like child protection and compliance issues that have to be dealt with. Have you got any insight into whether this is causing a little bit of a headache for HQ?
Yeah, I've heard from some of the customer support team that it's putting a bit of a strain on their system. They haven't fully automated the process yet. They had plans this summer to do that when things slowed down a little bit. But then here we are with things picking up. So they haven't automated it entirely. From what I hear, it takes 2 or 3 minutes per kid to be set up. So that's someone actually sitting there with a keyboard doing some work. But I definitely want to add that Zwift support staff is, anytime I've talked to them about this issue, they are overwhelmingly positive. It's a problem they want to have. Having new kids come on board. Zwift loves seeing kids on board. We all love seeing kids on bikes and on board. So they support it. But yeah, it's maybe a bit of a backlog, bit of more work than they had anticipated right now.
Yeah, well, that's a really interesting insight, actually. 2 to 3 minutes per applicant. I mean, you can do the math, as you guys would say, and that is clearly a significant resource issue. But as you say, and as Cormac's dad was saying, actually, they have never been anything other than fantastically supportive. So yeah, nice problem to have, I guess, in some ways. Nathan, of course, you are, as we might expect, with 5 kids and a big Zwift habit, an old hands at this. I mean, are your kids now gods and gurus to all their mates?
Yeah, I mean, they know the ins and outs of Zwift really, really well. And I mean, they got their own Zwift t-shirts. They wear them to school. I mean, but my kids have the same... the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. And so because they haven't been competing for the last year or two in real life, so like their motivation level to ride Zwift has come down. Like they're very much motivated by winning. I think a couple of the ones that were riding Zwift. So Asa, Karis, and Kyle have all ridden Zwift. Micah and Milo are too young really to jump on a bike on Zwift. I mean, they could jump on their Striders or their little other bikes and hook them up. Mike is kind of getting at the age. He's 8 years old. So, but yeah, I mean, they all know how to ride Zwift. They all have accounts that could ride Zwift. But I think since we're racing again this year, Karis, my 12-year-old, has started to get a little bit more interested again. So, but again, it's about the competitive side for them. And if there isn't the competition side, then they kind of want to just go do something else as far as their activity goes. So a little bit of running and weightlifting and stuff for most of them. But I think now that we're heading back into mountain bike, Dad's gonna be racing mountain bikes again. I think that'll change up in the next month or two. Plus, there's also the reality that my studio, we need a separate space, versus we're producing content out of here. And having little, like it used to be like kind of studio, kind of Zwift spacing. You've been here, you were at the old setup, Simon, but you haven't seen the new setup. And so for them to be in the new setup space is almost kind of sketchy, if that makes sense. And
no. Well, it's your workspace, isn't it?
Exactly. So like I kind of need the goal down the road is actually to have like a fully dedicated 3-station Zwift setup for everybody to be able to do it. And then just have the broadcast studio. And I would really love to have that because I think we would all be Zwifting together a lot more once we separate broadcast studio from Zwift's area. So
and that of course will be a big problem for a lot of people. Suddenly the parents got to find places to work at home, and then setting up, finding space to Zwift, and then finding extra space.
Virtual schooling, Simon, big one too. Them like computers having to be used more. I mean, I wonder. I'd put it out there actually to people listening. Like, are you finding any kind of struggle there too with how much of the tech in house has to be used, and is it interrupting actually the Zwifting a little bit because you have to move things around?
More
there's
demand
a lot
on
of virtual
computer.
learning going on right now.
Yeah. God, everything is changing so fast, isn't it? Shane, you've got a little time before Max gets on a trainer.
Yeah, his little legs won't reach any bike at the moment, which is kind of good. He's only 7 months old, but he's on the move. He's now not quite crawling, but he's rolling and squirming everywhere.
Yeah.
We're just rolling around on the floor just before he went to bedtime now, before we started recording. And have I mentioned I love being a dad? It is the best thing. I know you guys know it.
Once or twice.
I love the little guy. Every morning he wakes up with a smile, and he's now cutting laps of his little, we call it the big boy bed. I've got to put a little Garmin on his wrist or something, because he's actually, he's doing a few kilometers there at night, I reckon, just like squirming around. But no, not on a bike just yet.
Shall I tell you one thing? I put a Garmin on my dog once. No, I did.
Did he take me KOMs?
Yeah, well, no, I went out on my gravel bike with him. This was way back, and there's always been this kind of thing, like, if you take a dog for a walk, it will do 3 times the distance that you walk.
Right.
So I was really interested to see if that worked for cycling. So I strapped a Garmin onto his collar and went for a little kind of off-road circuit near me, and it was absolutely true. I did 10 miles, and Bingo, my dog, did 32.3 miles, I think.
Oh, what?
Yeah.
Even though you were riding? That's crazy.
Yeah. So there you go. Wow. That's interesting, isn't it? Anyway, back on topic.
I'm going to do that to my kids.
Back on topic. What has improved, I think, Shade, is... Cormac's dad there was saying in the early days it was really tough actually to just get his kid on a bike, on a trainer, because it was just nothing fitted. But that's really improved, hasn't it?
Yeah, a few of the solutions, I guess. The trainers haven't changed, I don't think, a lot from what I'm aware. Like, I haven't put a kid's bike on, but what I've seen, though, is solutions of people showing each other how to do it with different axle adapters. Actually, one of the videos I'm working on for today is a through axle adapter for an older trainer. So a lot of the adapters and a lot of the solutions are out there. And we have the internet now where we can share out our experiences. That's exactly what my YouTube channel is all about, sharing out how people can have a better time indoors. And I think the little groups they've got running on Facebook for kids Zwifters and things like that are doing really well for exactly this.
More kids on Zwift. Great thing. Really nice to see.
Right on.
Okay then. Well, a number of layoffs were announced at Zwift just a few days ago. People losing their jobs is awful. No two ways about it. And I know quite well, actually, some of the people involved. So this is a sensitive subject for me to cover, and I think the same goes for my fellow Zwiftcasters. But we need to cover it because it will have an effect on subscribers, I think. We'll get to that in a moment. But the layoffs were part of a pretty significant reorganization of the company, and that will affect subscribers, so it's right we talk about it. Before we get into the guts of what it means for Zwifters, let me just say what I know that I think is important that you know. This reorganization has been a long time in the planning. It is completely unrelated to the virus, and the timing is unfortunate. People leaving the company will be well looked after with packages that should remove the additional concerns brought on by the virus. I've been told that personally. This is quite clearly not a sign that Zwift is in any kind of financial trouble. Even more so, those signs are obvious given the number of new subscribers coming onto the platform. So that's kind of what we know about some of the background. And let's get on to slightly more speculative territory, although we'll try and do it sensitively, about what lies behind this. Here's my take. And again, I really don't want to be or intend to be or want to be insensitive to the people leaving the company. But I do think the net effect of these moves will be positive for the vast majority of Zwifters. This, to me, looks to be a refocus on the core product, cycling, and it sets up the company to move faster to deliver the features that the community is desperate to get and has got used to waiting for. I think Eric Min's honesty in our interview about the progress of Zwift over the past year, if you remember, he rated it as flat and gave it only 4.5 out of 10 in achieved potential, the same score as 15 months earlier. I think that was really, really significant. And I think the reorg and the refocus is probably not a direct response to that, but it certainly plays into it. Okay, that's the headline. But of course, there are nuances. And here we are firmly in the realm of speculation based on the limited information Zwift has provided. I don't blame them for doing that, by the way. They're a company operating in a competitive arena. One of the nuances, Shane, is hardware, and we will talk about that in a moment. But just generally, first, your general take on this.
Yeah, look, corporate changes are commonly known as business as usual. We see people online thumping the table about this online, and these are people who have zero insight into the inner workings and performance reviews and KPIs of these people. Look, to link this in any way, as people have online, to the COVID-19 issue is case in point on that. These decisions obviously were made months in advance, not just weeks in advance. For me, what's these people's take on millions of people being out of work right now? I can't tell you how insignificant this news really is in the whole scheme of things. I think every week we see another gate online that fires people up, and a lot of the times they're on things that really matter. This is just business.
Yep. Yeah, I do agree. Whilst, yes, again, expressing sympathy for the people, some of whom I know who are involved. But yeah, it's business as usual. Nathan, in general, before we get on to some of the nuances, in general, what do you think this means?
So I'm going to get a little metaphorical, but when a tree grows, my dad was in landscaping. Eventually, you got to trim the branches, and there's a lot of times some overgrowth that ends up happening. This company has grown very, very fast. And the structuring, like you said, the refocus, I think some lean and mean has to come along a little bit. And when I say that, I mean like it's getting fit. The company itself needs to get fit a little bit. It needs to figure out where things are lagging or not lagging, and then figure out how to structure well so that it can do all of its processes to the highest ability you possibly can. I think you hit the nail on the head. The frustration that came through in the interview, I think we're seeing some of the responses to that at a higher corporate level. So, and like you said, like I am hurting a little bit inside, just even with some of the faces that come to mind, because they're good friends of mine that I felt like I was a part of a family with, but it is a business and it needs to have awesome structure. I also hear and see that there's probably some places where people have a lot of ability and talent that is going to then be used very well in maybe ways that it wasn't before, if there is good restructuring that ends up happening. And a lot of time that is what it gets lost in corporate situations where people are doing things that are meaningless or don't have as much impact as they're supposed to. So I have a feeling that that's kind of where they're aiming at. Yeah.
Good analogy, that, the tree one. On to some of the specifics. Shane, hardware. I mean, Zwift in their statement very clearly specified hardware as a second focus of the reorganization's objectives. Pretty significant, that, I think, don't you?
Yeah, but we still don't know anything of their hardware ambitions other than a few short statements that tell us, well, not much. But from this, people have jumped to conclusion of hardware lockouts and being shunned by Zwift. And I think this comes back to perspective of those 24,000 people we saw online the other day, those 50 kilometre of riders lined up end to end. None of them were on Zwift hardware. Zwift will never lock those people out ever. But I think what Zwift can do is exactly what they've done in software to tax and Be Cool, 3D virtual cycling. They came along and made something that was better, and everyone jumped on board and loved it. So what if they did come along in hardware and release something that was better and that did provide a better experience than everything else? And from there, people could simply choose to go over that and over their outdated trainer. I don't see that as a bad thing. Let's look at the hardware people are on now. Look, let's be honest, most of it's pretty old and most of it hasn't changed in years.
Yeah, no, you're quite right. I mean, I just, Zwift would not lock people out of their products by insisting that they spend X on Y trainer. I just do not see that happening. I mean, even if it's...
And they've never said that either.
Even if it's a creeping process where, okay, you get a couple of bonus features if you buy a Zwift trainer, but even so, that would be done so carefully. And the point you make about people updating trainers, I mean, smart trainers have been out a few years now, but, some of them are getting pretty long in the tooth and people are looking to buy maybe the second or maybe even third smart trainer. And if one of those in the shop in a year or 2 years' time is a Zwift trainer, well, they might consider that, and that's the way I see this happening. Nathan, on to racing and esports. Pretty much nothing in the public arena on this subject, but there have been, we think, cuts made to that section of the company. Where do you think we're going here?
Well, this is. I actually don't have any extra information on this. Like you would think, I mean, I'm directly interaction with the team, but I don't know what's going on there. All I can do is speculate on what we said last time on the Zwiftcast. Last episode, I said that the cart was put before the horse a little bit, maybe, and that the type of growth at a very high level of sport might not be the focus as much anymore. And I think that they want that 100%, that like getting the really big, awesome world national competitions is something that's really wanted. And I think there's some things in place for that, but there might be more of a refocus to grow it out of the huge community we see growing right now, And so,
yeah.
Go ahead. Yeah.
No, I think you're right on that. And we'll talk about this on the next episode, actually, which of course is only a few days away now. We're weekly, which is that the Olympics have been postponed, which means we'll save this for the next episode, so let's not dwell on it. But there could be some pretty big impacts on Zwift for that, because as far as we know, the Olympics, was probably going to figure in their next map. The whole of in real life cycling is on hold, so the world's must be under threat. Anyway, we will look at all of that next episode. Okay, finally on running. To me personally, probably the biggest surprise was the departure of the VP for running. Eric Main himself has been posting that this does not mean that running is less important. He says, and these are his words, "It's not going anywhere and will get more attention over time and is absolutely core to the Zwift experience." Oh, we just have to take that face value, Shane, don't we?
Yeah, I guess so. Well, running, for what I do here, I've dabbled in some running setups and technology there, but look, I've got to produce content around what people are searching for or viewing, or I can't do what I do. And I haven't done any running content for a long while, other than the 400-meter track. So I think that's telling as well. Look, I respect that it's there, and I don't mind riding past a few runners every now and then and seeing the running track that's pretty cool. As for the popularity, I'm not quite sure the upswing we've seen in cycling in the last few days has also brought along the runners, but we'll see.
An ability live? I don't even know. Like, do we have an ability live? Like, we see Zwifting now. Do we see cycling now, running now in anywhere, or no?
Who's active in running or who's active in cycling?
I don't think you can.
That'd be kind of a cool metric to see.
Can you split that up?
It would give you a better idea at times in like live, you know what I mean? It might also give runners more like incentive, like here's how many people I can go run with. You know what
feedback. I mean? Yeah. Well, Nathan, I guess we've just got to see how things pan out with running. But I mean, it was very interesting that Eric jumped in specifically there to reassure that community.
Yeah, I mean, I think that was a very speculative post that it was out there though too. I think that there was just a lot of assumptions that you just can't, those answers weren't there at all. Like as if anything was actually happening with running. It was, we have no idea what the internal plans are whatsoever. We just know that there was some restructuring and business going down that didn't have anything to do with the support of the product, or there was no announcement around any of that. So, maybe running had some underlying feelings though, like people had feelings that were already there that were then like, hey, we're not getting enough attention and this verifies that, or something like that, or it's not growing as much as we would like to also. And so, oh no, the world is ending, kind of a thing because this thing happened that seems bad, so, but I don't, I think that was mainly a lot of speculation is what it looked like to me. And I was thinking about jumping in there, but I try and stay out of it.
Well, I mean, I could see why the running community was unsettled by this news, but Eric did give them reassurance, and you've got to take that. It's from the CEO. He cared enough to go in there and say that running was still very, very important and it wasn't going away. So let's see how that works out. Right, well, in these virus times, many, many clubs and groups of riding buddies are shifting rides indoors, and Zwift is suddenly on everyone's lips, even those cyclists who may not have been enthusiasts for the game in the past. This has put the group meetup feature into sharp focus. I talked to a club rider who's been using it to organise club rides for some little time. Welcome to the Zwiftcast to Richard Gate, an old mucker of mine, actually. We've had a few thrills and spills together, Richard.
We have indeed, over a few years, thrills and spills.
And what I wanted to talk to you, Richard, was clubs saying, right, how do we organise a group ride on Zwift? You've been organising these for some time. How do you feel they work?
They work more reliably now than they ever have, actually. This season, I've been using Zwift exclusively, and first of all, the reliability of the system has impressed me. In terms of organising group rides, it's still a little bit fiddly for the newer Zwifter, I guess, who's unfamiliar with it. Once you get the hang of it, I've got to say it's pretty easy. You just need to know to be able to invite someone on a meetup. You've got to have them following you. So I think that's probably the biggest fiddle factor. It would be great to have some sort of club function where you could throw a number of members all together in a club and have an automatic invite to all club members. That would be a fantastic facility. But
I couldn't agree more, and that is coming, but obviously not perhaps at the most critical time that it's needed. You have a hand in organising your club online activities. I'm assuming you're seeing an upsurge in interest.
I think it's about to explode, really. As a club, we're looking to potentially put on events that include our local other clubs as well. So our friendly local groups that we all race against and time trial against in our locale. If we can bring them in, I think that will be increasing the excitement factor and a bit more variety.
Yeah, good idea. Bring the whole kind of cycling community together. And in that wider cycling community, again, are you noticing a kind of uptick in interest in the ability or the potential to be able to ride together virtually?
I think everybody has an appreciation of Smart Trainer is now, what the options are. The advertising for Zwift has made it a wide-ranging presence across all cyclists now.
Thanks very much indeed for your time. Lovely talking to you.
Pleasure, Simon.
Nathan, this feature, possibly more than any other single feature in Zwift, is so of the moment.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm supposed to run one this Friday, and I love the feature and hate the feature at the same time. So I have a group meetup with a local bike shop I'm working with, and none of the people who are in that we want to get into the group follow me. And I have 1,800 followers, and how am I going to parse them all? And I got to interact with each and every one of these people to get them follow me. I follow them, then I add them to it, and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's like, is this even going to happen? So now I'm going to have to do a bunch of social posts that even a video to teach somebody or send them to Shane's video. Shane did a great video on this. Go check out Shane's video about doing the meetup features. But I mean, it's, I love the feature. It's perfect. We're actually doing live streams specifically around this feature in partnership with Volet now, actually on ZCL on Tuesday nights. It's starting next week, where we're doing meetups where people are going head to head with team v team. And there's a lot of cool things the community can do with it. It's such a great feature. It just needs a little bit of love right now. Really needs a little bit of love for some great ability to just meet up easily and post a link so people can just join the ride,
Well, none of us have used the word yet, so let's get it out there. Clunky. I think you're absolutely right, Nathan. I love this feature too. When it first came in, I thought this was going to change everything. But man, it's clunky. It just is so clunky. Again, I have exactly same as you, direct personal experience of this. As I've already mentioned, the bike shops here in Girona are really, really struggling, trying to do something to make them feel better. Organised a group meetup with lots of pro riders, actually just in support of a bike shop here in Girona. And the number of messages I've had from people that how does this work? So they've got to follow me or I've got to follow that? It's just wow, this could be so much easier. Shane, I think listeners think that we just sit here taking pot shots. But, we have fed this into HQ, haven't we? And it does work, this feature, but gosh, it could be better.
Yeah, look, I think there's a few low-hanging pieces of fruit here on this specific feature they should unlock or just revise right now. First of all, the 50 user limit or the 50 rider limit to meetups, and also the ability of someone to invite people who aren't following them. So there's a few restrictions right there. One tip and trick that I came up with for this feature this week, and I didn't put it in my video, I'll do an advanced hacks or something video later on this one, if the person following you has a certain tag in their username. Now, remember back in the day, we used to put tags in our username to designate the groups we were from. So Canyon ZCC, I think, have ZCC in there, right? Nathan, I think you had Vision in your name, something that was similar between all the people of the certain group. Now, if you search on that tag of the people who are following you, their names will pop up. So for your local shop there, Simon, let's just say it was Girona Cycling Club, so what, GCC or something, it's pretty generic. If everyone has that in their name and then you search for that, bang, they'll all pop up on the list and you can hit plus, and it makes life really, really easy. It's a workaround / hack, but you've got to then communicate to tell people.
It makes life easy for the organizer, but then you've got to go to all of these people, some of them new to Zwift, and say, you've got to change your name in the game, and they're like, what?
URL is what we need. We need a clickable URL. I think people would be responsible for that, because if you're setting up a ride, you're not going to spam people out. I understand it is why it is because of these anti-spam stuff. It could be used for malicious purposes, I guess. But I think it's time to maybe remove that restriction and just open it up a little more. One thing I will mention as well, anybody having trouble with this feature, make sure your apps are updated. Apple TV should update automatically. Sometimes it doesn't. So make sure you go into the App Store and make sure it's updated on your Apple TV. Same with the Android, same with your iPhone. PC and Mac will update when you start. Another trick as well I found, and I had this happen to me, it works a lot better when you log in, and because you've got to log into Zwift first before you switch to the world or wherever you're going to. You can't go straight to the starting pen or the starting area for this. If you log into the same world as you're switching to, I've had a better chance of it popping up saying, do you want to join this ride now? I'm not sure if it's just me, but there's just a few little tips to carry people through to make sure it will possibly work every time.
Yeah. Shouldn't need to be worked around, so should there? That's the point.
No, there shouldn't be.
Okay, let's get a quick take because he's been on twice already, so 3 times would be great. Quick take from Eric Slangy on this one. You've been relatively vocal, I think, and very actually precise about ways that you would like to see Group Meetup improved in your posts on the subject. So I'm going to confine you to one point. If they could just do something to make it just a little less clunky, what would you like that something to be?
Just one thing. My one wish would be that we could optionally hide riders who aren't in the meetup, especially right now with things so busy. We rode Watopia the other day with a small group, and it was super packed. It was almost like a conga line with, I think there was 8,000 or 9,000 on there. So it's really hard to keep track of a group, especially if you don't have the keep everyone together option set. They get off your rider list on the right, and you don't know if they're ahead of you or behind you. It's tough to keep track. So if everybody else was hidden, I think that would allow you to do a lot more with meetups, like fun races and stuff like that too.
Yeah, that would be my call, actually. And I think that's heightened by the fact that we're likely to see the average size of group meetups get a bit bigger, because I know for sure, I mean, clubs I'm involved with, and you see it all over, all organs of Zwift media, 20, 30, 40, 50 people. Obviously, that's the max. But, I don't think that's going to be uncommon.
No, I don't think so. I think we'll keep seeing them getting bigger and bigger.
Okay, well, good call as ever. Lovely to have you on the podcast 3 times, 3 for the price of 1. Great stuff.
Thanks for having me, Simon. Stay safe over there.
Yeah, you too. And I'm sure we'll be talking again before too long. Thanks, Eric. Yep, and Eric makes a great point there. Another kind of real obvious thing is when you're on a group meetup, all the other riders should be hidden. But where Nathan started this discussion is so correct. I think we all love this feature and simultaneously hate it because there's just quite a lot of what looks to be, I'm sure it's not, but looks to be simple stuff that could make it better. Anyway, there we go. We've made our point. Okay, well, that's flown by, fellas, hasn't it? That's nearly it. Except to say, I have changed my position on doing the Alp on a mountain bike. Stunned silence from my fellows.
So you've done it, or you're going to be doing it?
Yeah, well, done it would be going a bit far, Shane. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. I'm definitely going to do it. I've decided I am going to do it. Now, you did it, Shane, and it was what, like plus 10 minutes on your normal time or something?
Exactly. Somebody did say it took them an extra 15 minutes. And looking back through my history, going to Strava, to the Zwift Insider verified route on that and my efforts, it was the slowest effort I've done up there. I wasn't going too hard. It was, I think I did 226 watts. I live streamed it and just chatted to everyone, which makes the time go very, very fast. It doesn't make my time up the hill go fast, though. I think it was an hour 11, which is, around exactly what people were saying, how much slower it was. It took a while. But I distracted myself. So I think that's the key. If you can distract yourself in line, which is what Zwift is anyway, distraction from us sitting there pedaling and going nowhere. Put some good tunes on. Yeah, maybe do some Instagramming at the same time. Yeah, you'll get it done.
Yeah. All right. So I'll do this.
Yeah, I was going to say that was the next question.
If Shane will race me on the mountain bike course. If Shane races me on the mountain bike course, and then I agree to do a live, and we have to live stream it, and then I agree to live stream an all-out effort. I mean, an all-out Gara effort. Go gorilla to the top of the Alpe de Zwift. If he races me on the mountain bike course live, 100% on that.
You have to accept that challenge.
Only if I can do it on the Tron. I think that would be an equalizer.
Oh man! No, so you want me on the Tron, and then you're on the mountain bike?
You're on the mountain bike. I'm on the Tron. That's a good handicap. Come on now. I think.
No, I'm talking. We're racing on. No. You have to race me on the mountain bike course.
On the mountain bike course, not up the
with the steering.
On
the steering course. Race me on the mountain bike course, and then I'll go do your Alpe de Zwift on the mountain bike full on.
This is like punching school children, Nathan. Whilst we shouldn't do it, sometimes we want. No. I'll have to think about this one. Just like you two boys sat on the fence last week, I'm firmly right in the middle of the fence right now.
Okay, well we are moving forward. By next week's Zwiftcast, I will definitely have done the Alp on a mountain bike. I think. No. Nathan won't stop because he's waiting for you to accept his challenge to race him on the mountain bike steering course. So we'll come back to you on that one. Okay. Well, little shout out to the Zwiftcast listeners who also accepted the challenge. Well done to Patrick Tan, Bill To, Peter Toth, Brian Pearson, Chad Manise, Darren Chandising, Byron Mitchell, Chris Ty, David Williams, Andrew Scott, and if I've forgotten or missed anyone, my great apologies to them. There was talk of actually doing this as a Zwiftcast listeners group meetup. I could be in for that, Nathan, Shane.
Yep. Yeah, I'll do. Okay, but first we have to figure out if we're racing on mountain bikes, and then I'll do the group meetup.
Okay, this is a moving target. This is fast developing stuff. So keep an eye on Zwiftcast listeners for what seems to be an endless series of challenges. But I would actually like to do a Zwiftcast listeners group meetup of some kind. So I'll put my thinking cap on as to how that might work. So stay tuned to your favorite podcast and to the Zwiftcast listeners group, and we'll try and get something going in these difficult times. It would be nice to do something where maybe all three of us were present, although there are time zone issues there, but we'll see what we can do. Okay, well, that really has flown by. Really has flown by. So yeah, that's it. Shane, I guess you're drowning in views, are you?
It's busier for me right now than in the weeks leading up to Eurobike. Typically, the weeks leading up to Eurobike are flat out because we have all these unreleased products we have to schedule reviews of and become a product expert on before they're released, and to and fro's between companies and things. It's really, really busy. As we've seen the upswing on, if you go to Google Trends and just type in Zwift, you'll be blown away by the amount of traffic that Zwift are hitting. And a lot of, I've been on this game for years and years and years. I've been putting out probably 3.5 years now, maybe 4 years of content on Zwift and Zwift Help. My library of videos are just slowly rising up. It's not just the new videos that I'm doing and getting a few thousand views each, or 10,000, 15,000. It's all the older videos I've put there as evergreen content, which is absolutely brilliant. I'm loving it. This is why I do the content. And people are learning from that. They're having a better experience indoors. So in this time where the world is completely upside down, people can turn to what I've made, apply that knowledge, take it a little further, invent their own little things, their own setups, get their kids on Zwift, find the Zwiftcast, do all these things, watch Zwift live for the first time. It's good. But yeah, things are busy, very, very busy. But I'm going back to basics for a lot of the stuff that I'm doing to help everyone out. So yeah, covering the meetups functionality, which I've touched on before, but I ran everyone through exactly here's how to do it, because I know clubs want to share this information and show people how to do it. We're back onto simple Zwift setups with Apple TV and Bluetooth this week. So no dongles, no ant sticks, no mucking around. A trainer, the Apple TV, your bike, and you ride. And that's the setup I've been using. And on that, I've been using the Apple TV 4K for the bunch ride of the Tour de Zwift. Works really well. I'm super impressed with that little piece of hardware. And again, tonight I'm working on a through-axle video to show people how to use an older trainer with the newer bikes for some of the tack stuff. So back to basics, on the grind. I'm super pumped to help out a lot of people.
Yeah. And Nathan, I guess, well, I mean, I'm obviously much busier. I mean, not only just producing weekly episodes, obviously a lot more work. I'm very much enjoying doing it, not complaining about that. I have nothing else to do, so it's a bit of a blessing, actually. But again, Nathan, I guess, similar to myself and Shane, your workload is through the roof.
Yeah, I mean, everybody's making new events and everybody's wants it live streamed, which is great. Yeah. I love it. It's just parsing what to do, getting I mean, there's a lot of setup that goes into all that, making sure that things are across the scheduling and everything. So, but there's, the new Koa boys are on point. They're super on point. They're scheduling, I think it looks like 3 new live streams a week. We're scheduling, I'm scheduling out, it looks like at least 4 new live streams a week on top of what we were already doing, plus what's going on with Zwift live content and Zwift's owned content. So, and that's only going up. I mean, that's literally what I'm already like scheduling out, while there's like 3 or 4 other organizations or projects asking for 2 or 3 weeks out from now. So it's like, whoa, really? And then like new responsibilities too. Like I was on the phone with Jeremiah Bishop 2 or 3 times this week, actually just talking about getting things together for the mountain bike crew and running group rides and stuff. So it's pretty fun too. Like that side, like the kind of connections I'm making through Zwift now. I mean, when I first got into mountain biking, I watched Off-Road to Athens, which is a documentary about how, Bishop, Jeremiah, JHK, and the women's side of things, Georgia Gould, and they were all battling it out for the Olympic spot for the Americans, and that's part of what inspired me to go race bikes. And now me and Jeremiah are talking about running group rides on Zwift. I got him on the phone. We're talking about riding. I mean, I raced with him as a pro years later, but it's different now. Now we're buddies through Zwift, which is cool.
Yeah. Really cool. Okay, one very, very, very last thing before we go. I mean, I know we all do this anyway, but we're all being as nice as we possibly can to new Zwifters, aren't we? When they come in with questions that we've heard precisely 87.9 million times before. We are all doing that, aren't we?
I think we've gotten better about it, though. I think it's gotten way better. I think because the community figured out like ZVA is the place to kind of do that a little bit. I don't know. I kind of like checked out though a long time ago on Zwift Riders or those other spaces where like they ask why the Garmin speed is different than the speed in Zwift, or they ask, I don't know, what's the other ones, like trainer difficulty or
how do I
turn?
That's gonna
people have to find their own way in Zwift. I think there's a rite of passage there of thinking you've clicked on the Everest challenge and thinking you're going to get that Tron bike at 8848 meters. And then finding out you got a lot more to go before the Tron. We can't let the newbies know that. You've got to find that out themselves. There's a few rites of passage that you've got to figure out. Or they can just go to my channel and figure it out anyway. But
learn the hard way. That's very Australian, that is, mate. Learn the hard way. Quite right, Sue. Pleasure talking to you, fellas. Until this time next week. Thank you very much indeed.
Look forward to it, boys. Thanks.
Guys.
Usual reminder time, the Zwiftcast is supported by Zwift, but we decide what goes into the podcast, not Zwift. Thanks for listening. See you next time.